There's complete chaos and division within the military surrounding the alleged war crimes committed by a Navy SEAL by the name of Eddie Gallagher. And Trump's involvement in it has made things much worse. So the Secretary of Defense, Mark Esper, has decided to force the resignation of Navy Secretary Richard Spencer over his handling of the case. This story has a lot of moving parts, a lot of different elements. First, let's go back to see what Eddie Gallagher allegedly did, what he was actually found guilty of, and why this is a big story today. So from September of 2018 to July of 2019, he had been accused of committing war crimes during that time period, and he actually faced serious charges as a result, including attempted murder, premeditated murder, aggravated assault with a dangerous weapon 2 times on non-combatants, discharging firearms to endanger non-combatants, a picture with a casualty, operation of drone over human casualty, wrongful use of possession of controlled substance, it was an opioid, and there were other offenses that he was accused of as well that I didn't include in that list. But a charge of obstruction of justice was also brought against Gallagher for alleged witness intimidation. According to the claim, Gallagher allegedly threatened to kill fellow SEALs if they reported his actions. And by the way, many of them did. The reason why all these allegations came up in the first place is because his fellow Navy SEALs had reported him because of what they perceived to be as war crimes. Now, Gallagher was acquitted in a murder and attempted murder case in July, but he was convicted of posing in a photo with a dead body of a 17-year-old ISIS member. Trump ordered to rescind the medals of prosecutors who worked on Gallagher's case. So Trump got involved almost immediately. And Pete Hegseth over at Fox kept encouraging Trump to get involved and basically get Gallagher off, you know?
Yeah, and so guys, important context here before we get to who's right and wrong within the chain of command is that understand that Donald Trump, Pete Hegseth, Fox News are against the military in this case, okay? And they're against the normal rules of the military, and they're against all those Navy SEALs who reported him and who Gallagher threatened to murder, okay? It wasn't just that he killed an ISIS member. That's the whole point of the Navy SEALs is yes, they kill ISIS members. That's not the issue at all. He apparently committed war crimes, as Anna pointed out, including murder and including going after non-combatants, to the point that his fellow Navy SEALs all united to say this guy committed war crimes. Now, how often does that happen in the military? Not very often. So it has to be outrageous, unbelievable for them to do that. And then this out of control guy turns around and then says, okay, I'm gonna kill all of you SEALs. And Donald Trump says, oh, you committed war crimes, you've destroyed military morale, and you're attacking fellow Navy SEALs. Great, you're my guy. Pete Hegseth, another guy who disrespects the military and the Navy SEALs by saying, hey, threatening to kill Navy SEALs, no problem. I'll back the guy who did that threat. So understand, they're not on the side of the military here. So they're totally against the brave Navy SEAls who originally said, we follow military protocol and we follow rule of law, and this guy committed war crimes. Hegseth, Fox, and Trump has united against them. So understand who the real players in this conflict are.
Right, and I want to emphasize one thing just to be fair and absolutely clear about what happened during the trial. So he was acquitted of all the allegations with the exception of posing with a casualty, but there was an unexpected moment during his trial where a medic claimed responsibility for killing the ISIS fighter. He's the one who said, well, he was suffering, he was gonna die from his injuries, so to basically have mercy on him, I decided to kill him. But
I have no idea if that's true.
Right,
there was a bunch of people who supported the war criminal Eddie Gallagher, and so I don't know if that medic came in and was like, I don't know, sure, Trump's on our side, who cares? And no one cares about the truth anymore, so why don't I just roll a hand grenade into the middle of this trial, basically? Or maybe he's telling the truth, I don't know. But if you're on that jury, that makes it nearly impossible to convict. So well played, pro-war criminals.
So now let's get deeper into how Trump got involved and how this has led to chaos within the military. Now, when the jury found him guilty of posing in that photo with the dead ISIS fighter, They also decided to demote Gallagher. And at that point, Trump got very involved, okay? So Trump reversed Gallagher's demotion a week ago and pardoned 2 other service members accused of war crimes, deeply upsetting military leaders. In response, military officials launched a formal review to determine if Gallagher was fit to serve as a SEAL, which is protocol after a conviction. That review was expected to lead to his expulsion. But then again, Trump got involved. And ABC News explains in greater detail in this clip. Take a look.
Just last week, President Trump intervened in the case, ordering the Navy to promote Gallagher back to his rank, restoring his pay and pension. The Navy then announced it would review Gallagher's case, which could lead to him being kicked out of the SEALs and losing the highly valued Trident pin, identifying him in the elite community. But then President Trump publicly intervening again with this tweet. The Navy will not be taking away warfighter and Navy SEAL Eddie Gallagher's Trident pin. This case was handled very badly from the beginning. Get back to business. But Navy Secretary Richard Spencer responded by saying he does not consider tweets in order. But the New York Times reporting that both he and Admiral Collin Green, commander of the Navy SEALs, threatened to resign, something they deny.
I have not threatened to resign. I am here. I work at the pleasure of the president.
So Richard Spencer is a curious guy because while publicly he spoke out against Trump's involvement, apparently privately, according to reports today, he was working some sort of secret deal with Trump on this case.
So I have a theory on why that is. Spencer wanted the regular rules to apply. And Trump said, no, I don't care about your stupid military rules. I don't care about the military or its stupid rules. I like war criminals. And by the way, that's a fact too. If you remember during the campaign, he said, we should not only kill terrorists, we should kill their innocent family members. So he's always been in favor of war crimes from day one. And so now that he's president, we shouldn't be surprised that he is aiding and abetting war criminals. So he told Spencer, no, I like that he's a war criminal. So I'm paraphrasing now. Okay, so make sure that he gets all of his stuff back. Now Spencer is trying to get it to a point, it looks like from the outside here, where to the rest of the military, they could say, hey, we went through a process. Remember, you can't just ignore the rules in the military because that would cause massive damage to the military, right? And you can't just say, okay, I'm just gonna commit war crimes and murder people, threaten my fellow SEALs or service members, and then hope that Trump bails me out with a tweet. So, and in order to effectuate that, it looks like Spencer went to Trump and said, what if we said we did give him his Trident pin back, but we said we went through a process so it doesn't destroy military order, right? And of course, trying to do even half of the right thing is gonna get you fired.
Well, I think your assessment is completely right. And you're correct about the lack of morale following Trump's involvement in getting Gallagher off. And look, Defense Secretary Mark Esper was unaware that Richard Spencer was working with Donald Trump behind the scenes to do this deal. And so he finds out about it and he says that he was baffled by it and decided to pressure Richard Spencer to resign, and that's exactly what happened. And in his resignation letter, he made clear that he disagrees with what Trump is doing, that even though Trump is the one who appointed him, he completely disagrees with Trump in this case. And then one other thing that I wanted to bring up, look, Donald Trump, why is he doing this? Like, what is the point? Like, why is he so intent on getting people off after they've been convicted of war crimes? Well, look, he gets encouraged by the shows he watches, and he loves to watch Fox News. And Pete Hegseth has been trying to get Gallagher off since the beginning of this case. And so over the weekend, there was a segment that featured Eddie Gallagher, and he had no problem trashing people that he reported to in the military. Take a look.
You saw the president's tweet. Ultimately, he allowed you to get your rank back. You reported back to duty. React to everything that's going on right now.
It just keeps getting more and more unreal. I got the president's tweet on Wednesday that
saying he's going to restore your Trident.
Yes,
it's not being taken away from you.
Exactly, and I'm overjoyed that he stepped in again as being the leader that he is. But at the same token, I just get a feeling of embarrassment for my community that Admiral Green is letting the ego get the best of him at this point, and he's trying to take my Trident because it's all about retaliation.
So Rear Admiral Collin Green wanted to kind of clean up shop within the Navy SEALs because he saw behavior that was problematic to say the least. I'm really underplaying it here. And so he wanted consequences for SEALs who had, been doing bad things. And so obviously Gallagher didn't like that. He didn't like the fact that Admiral Green was keeping an eye on him and has decided to go on Fox News and trash him. Now, when it comes to the whole issue of Gallagher's retirement and his ability to retire as a Navy SEAL, he actually did make a plea to Trump directly on Fox. And I want to show you that clip. Take a look.
What would your message be to the president? What would, about your case, you want to retire, what would you say?
I just want to retire peacefully with all the honors that I've earned, get back to my family, and I don't know how many times I thank the president. He keeps stepping in and doing the right thing, and I want to let him know that the rest of the SEAL community is not about this right now. They all respect the president, and what the admiral is doing, showing complete insubordination, is not the good example of good order and discipline.
When you say the SEAL community, you're saying the guys you've served with,
yes,
have your back in this. They appreciate what the president's doing.
Oh, they definitely do.
Wait, the ones you threatened to murder or the other ones? Because the ones that you threatened to murder turned you in. So it doesn't seem like they've got your back. And God knows what you'll do next with your threats now that you are above the law. Now that Trump says you can kill anyone you like and I'm not gonna do a goddamn thing about it, I'm gonna make sure no one is allowed to do anything about it. Let's look at the irony of him saying that the admiral is committing insubordination as he is way lower in the chain of command and is being insubordinate to the admiral. So apparently words don't mean anything anymore, and military rules don't mean anything, laws don't mean anything. So he got convicted, right? So he got convicted of taking a picture with a dead soldier, right? The dead ISIS soldier. So a lot of people might say, well, if that's the only thing he actually did, it's not that big a deal. So yes, first of all, he's convicted, and when you are convicted, you lose those medals. So if you say, well, I know, but I kind of like the guy because he is a war criminal, so I want to ignore the military rules, well, then you're gonna have chaos. And secondly, it is a big deal. Why is it a big deal? Remember the pictures in Abu Ghraib? They said, don't take those pictures. It's against military rules to take those pictures, but they took the pictures anyway. And then what happened? They got released. And then what happened? It created a massive civil war where our guys got killed. God knows how many people got killed because of those pictures. That's why they tell you don't take the goddamn pictures, right? And he did it anyway because he thinks, I don't care. And Trump thinks, oh, war criminal, I love it. And Trump at every turn, whether it's the military or domestic law, is against law enforcement. Why? Because he's a lifelong criminal. So he sides with other criminals on a regular basis. Finally, to Defense Secretary Esper. So he says, oh man, I can't believe Spencer went behind my back and did this deal. And under normal circumstances, that would actually be a pretty good case. Hey, you know what? The Navy Secretary should have checked with the Defense Secretary before talking to the President. Fair enough, right? But then Esper goes, oh, Spencer, you shouldn't have done that. Then who does he back? Does he back the play of, no, we are going to follow normal military rules? Or does he back Trump? He goes, Spencer, you're fired for not following military rules. But Gallagher, you get everything back, everything's fine, Trump wins, it's over, he gets everything he wants. And while I get to pretend I care about military rules, which I obviously don't, because I kiss Donald Trump's ass for a living. Okay, yeah. So that's what happened with Esper, understand that.
Okay, so it is funny because on one hand you have Gallagher accusing Rear Admiral Collin Green of, being motivated by his own ego, influenced by his own ego. But the only person in this story so far who is being influenced by his ego really is Esper. Because why is Esper upset at Richard Spencer? He's upset at Spencer because he went behind Esper's back and negotiated some sort of deal with Trump. So Esper's ego is a little bruised. And by the way, one other thing that Secretary of Defense Mark Esper just said was that Trump ordered him to allow Gallagher to keep his status in the elite service despite resistance from Navy leaders.
Okay, so if you're saying, hey, listen, ultimately the president is the commander in chief and he can't order that. That's true. So in this case, Trump is a rare case where Trump is not breaking a law. Okay, I think he's destroying military order and morale and all the things that all of the admirals, the generals are all concerned with, right? Because they don't want to get their guys killed. Okay, but he doesn't care about any of that, and he's not a deep thinker, to say the least. He is allowed to do it. But Esper, you don't have to follow the rules. Nobody's making you continue to be defense secretary. What I mean by that is, yes, if the president orders something, you have to do it. But you could also resign. You could say, hey, listen, all the Navy leaders disagree with this. It's against everything we've ever been taught in the military. And it destroys our credibility when we go into a different country. And the reason they allow us to go into a lot of countries is because we have rules and we actually hold people accountable when they break the law in a different country. Now, when we take that away, which is what you've just done here, you've greatly endangered all of our troops, all of our service members. So I'm resigning. But that would take principle. And Esper doesn't have principle. He goes, well, I mean, maybe I was against this because it's against everything I've ever been taught and everything that anybody in the military has ever been taught. But on the other hand, I love my job. I'm so powerful and famous. Yes, yes. Gallagher, you want to be a war criminal? Who cares? I want to break the rules to give you your medals back? Who cares? Who cares? Who cares? Am I still the defense secretary? Am I still the defense secretary? Okay, great.
Yep, goes back to ego.
Exactly. And so at the end of the day, this unfortunately has done great damage to our military, because now wherever they go, they will be trusted less. And when they're trusted less, people fire at them and more people die. But Donald Trump has never cared about any of that. All he's ever cared about is, I like people who break the law. And just like I said during the campaign, I want you to murder people who aren't combatants. And Eddie Gallagher did that, according to, remember, even before the so-called acquittal on those charges, Trump didn't mind that he did that when he thought he did do it, right? And so that's why he did it, because he's a monster and doesn't understand anything about rules or laws or the military. Thanks for watching The Young Turks, really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.